Now, you know how annoyed I am at these results when it comes to NAPLAN. I think it's a national disgrace, but it's one that should be resulting in urgent action from anyone with any responsibility, from you, the parent, you, the grandparent, all the way through to the Prime Minister. Kevin Donnelly, Dr. Kevin Donnelly, is a man who's been passionate about this issue and has been noticing the decline year in, year out, and he's the senior fellow at the Australian Catholic University. He joins us to talk about this now. Dr. Donnelly, today is a disgraceful example of how we are letting our kids down. This should have been met with a greater sense of urgency. It should have been the lead story on every news bulletin all day, but it says something about why we are where we are, about what our reaction is to so many kids falling behind, that no one seems to care. This is the future of our country and it's broken.
You're dead right, Paul, and I wrote a book, Why Our Schools Are Failing, over 19 years ago, if you can believe it, in 2004, where I looked at the results back then, and over 30% of our students, primary and secondary, were failing literacy, numeracy, the basic standards, and now they're arguing, golly, it's a problem. We've just found out this week that, from NAPLAN, that again, 30% are failing. We've known about this for 19 years, and governments, bureaucrats, academics, teacher, training institutions have done nothing to turn it around. So it's really allowed generations of young children, especially boys, to leave school, primary and secondary, illiterate, innumerate. And it's a national disgrace, but I can't see things improving anytime soon.
I don't understand how, after the decades of failure, after the 15 years of NAPLAN decline, after the hundreds of billions of dollars that have gone in, everything from Gonski to post-Gonski, all the rest of it here, none of the people involved in current decision-making work. So in the same way that when a police force is corrupt, you have to go and find somebody from almost outside of the country. That's what the New South Wales Police Force did, remember? They went and found a police officer from the UK to become the commissioner in New South Wales. Why are we not searching for somebody who's running the school system in Singapore or Japan or even, dare I say, China, to actually get a fistful of dollars, treble their pay, bring them out here? Because this is not unique. This is not a uniquely Australian problem. This is eminently fixable. Kids are kids all over the world. Where is the international expertise that we need to be searching for here? Because the current homegrown has delivered this garbage year in and year out.
They have, and I often use the expression, Dracula's in charge of the blood bank. And it's no good using the same people who got you into the problem to expect that they're going to solve it. So the reality is education in Australia, the teacher unions, the Australian Education Union, academics, the English Teachers Association, ACARA, the national body, they're all the people who are still being employed who have created the dismal situation we're now in. I've done 4 benchmarking projects looking at overseas countries, federal and state benchmarking projects, trying to identify the characteristics of stronger performing education systems. It's no secret. It's not magic. We know what works. And unfortunately, we've had governments, and I'll have to say Liberal and Labor, state and federal territory, who have really dropped the ball on this. They've dropped the ball. And as I say, Dracula's in charge of the blood bank. Even the current federal minister, Jason Clare, is actually appointing a lot of the same people who created the problem to try and redress it. So it's a closed shop education in Australia. The British Conservative politician Michael Gove called it the blob, that science fiction film. It's a blob of like-minded people who were really caught up in their own beliefs, and they won't allow anyone else to question it.
Now, what are some of the solutions here? Because there's people who can afford it, including most of the people who are the decision makers in this country, from CEOs to politicians. They put their kids in private schools. Good luck to them. Rightio. Most people don't have $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a year to be able to do that. So what are some practical solutions about how we have structured our system that can start to jolt better results?
there's no magic bullet, as the Americans would say, no single bullet. But as I say, when I looked at the benchmarking projects, there are 3 or 4 things straight away that stand out. In overseas countries, especially those that do better, and mainly the Asian countries, there's a respect for teachers. We have one of the most disruptive, noisy classrooms among the OECD countries. And so the first thing is to get classrooms that are disciplined, where the teachers are authority figures rather than facilitators and guides by the side, all this new age jargon they use now. So discipline, we need to have a rigorous curriculum. I reviewed the national curriculum, 2014, co-chaired that. All of our recommendations were basically ignored, but we need to have a rigorous curriculum based on what actually works in the classroom in terms of effective teaching and learning. And we do need parents to really contribute. I mean, I'm amazed my daughter Amelia taught teaches as a primary school teacher. She tells me she's got kids coming into school 8 or 9 years old who will, when they're given a picture book, will swipe it because they think it's an iPad or some kind of digital reader. Parents must read to their children, give them picture books, teach kids to respect authority, and we need to better resource teachers because at the moment they're drowning in red tape and bureaucracy. So we need to give teachers and schools greater flexibility and autonomy, like charter schools in America, free schools in England. Get rid of this bureaucratic overload and give schools and teachers greater control.
Good on you, Kevin. Thank you so much, mate. You are a clear light, but one that's been sounding the alarm for a long time. Let's continue to do so till someone listens, mate. I appreciate your work, your passion, your focus, and the chat tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paul.